It's 17:30 GMT, live from Adabraka in Accra. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM with Umaru Sanda Amadu, and I'm here with
Mina W.
And coming up over the next 90 minutes.
I am sorry the discussions have caused a huge embarrassment to the presidency, honorable ministers, and senior government officials. I wish to apologize to my family, work colleagues, friends, associates, and people of Ghana for the disappointment my indiscretion has caused them.
Under fire, GFA President Citi Nyantakyi resigns after a hefty FIFA ban. Football administrator Kwame Ntofianku says it is the end of the road.
With this FIFA ban, if it is communicated to him, then from that time, he is no more a committee member for the period in question.
We'll be hearing more from him. Meanwhile, investigative journalist Anas Anas demands 25 million Ghana cedis from Asin Central MP Kennedy Ejepon in a legal suit.
Oh, it's a simple suit in defamation. Defamation against the MP for Asin Central, Kennedy Ejepon. Running on pages and pages, 8 pages of defamation all put together. That she leveled against Mr. Anas Anas.
More on that. Meanwhile, the Boku Central MP, who is also a lawyer, Mahama Yaga, says the processes initiated by the government to dissolve the GFA are unlawful.
Dissolve them is clearly against the constitution of Ghana. And I think that the members of the association can actually go to court, get a court order declaring the government move as null and void.
We have a 360-degree to that particular story for you in relation to what exactly the fallout from Anas Anas's number 12 is. And later on Eyewitness News.
With the exception of Corporal Mensah S., who was sentenced to 60 days detention, a reduction in rank from corporal to private, the remaining 4 soldiers were all sentenced to 90 days detention with penalties, including release from the Ghana Armed Forces for services no longer required after serving their sentences.
Ghana Armed Forces sentences pro-Galamsey soldiers to up to 90 days detention and subsequent dismissals. We have more on that. Stay with 97.3 Citi FM for more on that and many other stories on Eyewitness News. And in business,
court dismisses Chinese company BAXC's injunction appeal seeking the halt in the ECG privatization process following the selection of Morocco. Also, Bank of Ghana to revoke the licenses of non-compliant financial technology firms with the implementation of the new payment systems and services bill.
Pius Emiheduko returns in 50 minutes with details of the top stories in business. Eyewitness News is live across the country on a number of affiliates and across the globe on citinewsroom.com. Your comments are welcome. The WhatsApp number is 0549 986 996 0549 986 996. You can tweet at me at Umaru Sanda or at Citi973 with the hashtag Citi Newsroom. Let me know. Kwesi Nyantakyi has resigned. What are your views? Are you somebody in the footballing world? What do you make of the resignation? Are you someone who has worked with him before? What do you remember Kwesi Nyantakyi for? And of course, if you're a football lover who's going to watch Anas's number 12, would you say that justice has started to be served already? Godfred Akotobuafo is head of political desk here at 97.3 Citi FM, has been a sports journalist for more than 10 years, been following closely this particular story, has watched number 12, and has been engaged in a number of debates and discussions on this matter. Finally, Kwesi Nyantakyi has resigned. Godfred, tell us what he said in his statement.
Well, the statement came out not too long ago. We had been expecting one, considering the fact that the executive committee of the Ghana Football Association had been meeting since around 10 a.m. this morning. And so it's been a long meeting. And at the end of it, this is the statement that was released. After a meeting of the executive committee this afternoon, I decided to resign as president of the Ghana Football Association. It stemmed out of the controversies generated by investigative report of Tiger IPI. In the said report, I committed a series of errors of indiscretion. I gravely associated the highest office of the land, the presidency, with private discussions I had with scammers who deceived me into thinking they were genuine persons interested in investing in our country. I hereby apologize unreservedly to the father of the nation, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, His Excellency the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, honorable ministers and deputy ministers of state for indiscretion in associating them with the private conversations on the video. I wish to clarify that at no time prior to or subsequent to any deliberations on the video did I consult, contact or inform any government official about discussions on the video. I take sole and personal responsibility for the proceedings in the video. I wish to apologize to my family, work colleagues, friends, associates, and the people of Ghana for the disappointment my indiscretion has caused them. This is by no means an admission of wrongdoing for issues on the video. Signed, Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi. And in the coming days, I will address the media on issues raised in the video.
This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. The words of Kwesi Nyantakyi. If you're tuning in for the first time, this is 97.3 Citi FM. And the big story is that Kwesi Nyantakyi, having served the Ghana Football Association as president since 2005, has finally bowed out on a rather unceremonious manner. Godfred, for those who are just tuning in, give us the key points in the statement from Kwesi Nyantakyi.
Well, first of all, the key point is what is not in the statement. An apology to football. Because if you look at what he's talking about from the third paragraph right up to the end, the apology is directed mostly at the indiscretion with the presidency, where he made mention, for those who have seen the video and all the conversations we've had about it, where he spoke about his ability to get the investigators close to the presidency. They paid X amount of money. He mentioned names like Mr. Anthony Cabo. He mentioned names like Mr. Asenso and whatnot. What we do not see is him talking about how he was going to rip off his own federation, the Ghana Football Association. We do not see an apology to Ghana Football about that. This is basically saying I'm resigning because I have upset just the presidency. One might say he perhaps considers this the graver offense. But for those who follow football, they might also tell you that they feel trying to rip off the federation that you're supposed to protect to help to grow is also an equally grave offense. So for me, that is what stands out. But
so he has treated football or the GFA, which he heads, as secondary.
Basically,
and is rather apologizing profusely to the government officials that he implicated in his video.
He basically makes no mention of any of his indiscretions with regards to football in this statement. The entire statement deals with the indiscretion on the political side. There is no mention of the football side in this.
Godfred, he has said that this statement is by no means an admission of wrongdoing for issues on the video. But he sort of admits to knowing and believing and actually confirming that he is the one on the video and making the statement he was making. Otherwise, he wouldn't be apologizing the way he was.
Definitely so.
I think for purposes of...
yes, I'll read it again.
I think you should actually just take the full statement again. Let's get the import and understand whether or not he has admitted, one, that he was the man who was on that video. Of course, because in this country, we've seen videos and audio tapes, and the people usually would come out and say it was doctored or pieced together. Now, has Kwesi Nyantakyi by this statement admitted to being the man who was filmed? Because he makes a point about he didn't know there was a secret recording. If he admits the video, then it means he admits everything he has said, both for the presidency and to the GFA deal. Now, he's apologizing to the presidency, the government officials, but he has not talked about the GFA deal, which was also on that video. So if he admits to the video, then he is admitting to everything he has said in that video as being his words. And he has said here that he has not admitted to any guilt, of course, and I'm not pronouncing him guilty.
Definitely.
But if he's accepting those words, then it brings up a whole bigger conversation.
Definitely. And I'm looking forward to him meeting the media in the final line. He says in the coming days, I'll address the media. Perhaps that is the opportunity where he would talk about the football side of things. But as things stand now, if you look at the second paragraph.
Godfrey, I think we should take it from the top. Let's take it paragraph by paragraph. So
after a meeting of the executive committee this afternoon, I decided to resign as president of the Ghana Football Association.
Okay, so stop. Executive committee, that is the immediate body that governs GFA.
Yes.
And the meeting was ostensibly to what? Discuss what?
We do not know, but definitely that would have been top of the agenda considering the decision that came from the presidency yesterday.
This is a committee that started the last time where we expected a deputy to Kwesi Nyantakyi to be named or for Nyantakyi to resign, and nothing happened. That's the same committee.
Yes, this is the same committee that issued a statement after the presidency ordered for an investigation into Mr. Nyantakyi and said that they backed him to the hilt.
They backed him, and this time around they go to a meeting again, and now he's opted to resign.
Yes.
Who make up this committee?
Well, it's made up of elected officials, and first of all,
everybody at the GFA headquarters, from president.
No. This has 22 people.
Okay. Regional FA.
10 regional FA chairmen, and then 12 other people who are elected.
I see. Now, these are the people who he met today, and this was the decision. Second paragraph says what?
It stemmed out of the controversies generated by the investigative report of Tiger IPI. In the said report, I committed a series of errors of indiscretion.
Okay, Godfrey, that's an admission again. He's saying he committed a series of errors of indiscretion in the utterances, I believe.
Yes.
That's what he's talking about, because he mentions the Tiger IPI tape now.
Yes.
Which, mind you, 2 days ago, GFA issued a statement requesting for the tape so that they could make a statement.
Yes.
I'm not sure Tiger IPI has given them the tape.
We are not aware of that at this moment.
So I'm not sure what basis they are commenting on, are we? Because they made a request publicly. They haven't told us that they have been given the video, unless they went to watch it at the conference center with us.
Perhaps they might have even watched it at the executive committee meeting today. But again, we cannot read too much into what they have seen or heard.
Okay.
We only have the statement that is in front of us.
All right, please
to analyze.
continue.
I gravely associated the highest office of the land, the presidency, with private discussions I had with scammers, and they put scammers in quotation marks, who deceived me into thinking they were genuine persons interested in investing in our country.
So he's referring to Anas Arimia Anas and his team as scammers.
Yes.
But he had conversations with
Yes.
them.
Again,
And he thought that they were coming to invest in the country.
Yes.
All right.
I hereby apologize unreservedly to the father of the nation, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, His Excellency the Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, honorable ministers and deputy ministers of state for the indiscretion in associating them with the private conversations on the video. I wish to clarify that at no time prior to or subsequent to any deliberations on the video did I consult, contact, or inform any government official about discussions in the video. I take sole and personal responsibility for the proceedings in the video. Now, this particular paragraph is important because we had heard the discourse where people were saying the kind of information he had, what he knew, could not have just emanated from him boasting or bragging. He should have been fed some level of information. So he is, by this particular line, disassociating those individuals, the president, the vice president, Mr. Cabo, the roads minister, from all those statements that were made.
So, Godfred, we watched that video together, and Kwesi Nyantakyi appeared very boastful and appeared to have known so much about the government. And I said that he sounded like the chief of staff. And here at 97.3 Citi FM, there were some questions that we put to the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, based on what Kwesi Nyantakyi said in that video. And it was a news desk report. I just want to remind listeners again of what questions the presidency ought to answer. Listen to these questions.
Nyantakyi said President Akufo-Addo's family demands 5% kickback on all government contracts because family property was sold to run the campaign. What response does the family have to that? Question 2. Kwesi Nyantakyi said President Akufo-Addo's Deputy Minister for Roads and Highways, Anthony Cabo, suggests that before investors meet the president, an amount of $5 million has to be paid. Is this true? Was the Deputy Minister speaking based on precedents? Question 3. Kwesi Nyantakyi said President Akufo-Addo handed the Ministry of Transport to Asin Central NP Kennedy Ejapon, who appointed his puppet Kwesi Amoako-Atta to superintend over it. Is it true that the president was not the person who nominated Kwesi Amoako-Atta for parliamentary approval, contrary to the official communication to the Speaker? Question 4. Kwesi Nyantakyi said there was a deliberate attempt by government not to pay contractors believed to be sympathetic to the NDC. Is there any such thing? Question 5. Kwesi Nyantakyi explained how government plans to construct a highway from Ghana to Burkina Faso through Sandema, which would have about 50 bridges. He adds further that contractors would be added for all the projects. Is this a fact? And if this is so, did the president ask Kwesi Nyantakyi to source for investors for the government? Question 6. Kwesi Nyantakyi referred variously to Deputy Roads Minister Anthony Cabo and Deputy Chief of Staff Francis Asenso-Boakye as informants in the government. Mr. President, have you questioned these appointees of yours since the publication?
So those are the questions that the Citi Newsroom put together for the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, following the premiering of Anas Arimia Anas's video based on the boastful comments that were made by Kwesi Nyantakyi, who has just resigned now. And let me, Godfred, I'll come back to you so we discuss further. We will actually have questions to the GFA and the GFA presidents as well. We'll be playing that out for you. But let me speak to Kujo Fianu. He's the chairman of GALCA, the Ghana League Clubs Association. You're welcome to Eyewitness News. I spoke to you 2 days ago after watching the video, and you said that based on what you saw, you thought Kwesi Nyantakyi ought to go. He is finally gone. Your comments?
Thank you. Let me say hi to your listeners, and then say that yes, he resigned honorably. We need to give him that due. He did his part, but I would have expected that he would resign on a more on a cleaner note. But all the same, he's jump ship, and then we need to grant him that request.
You think he could have done this earlier when he saw the signs on the writing on the wall?
It could have been done earlier, but better late than never.
I see. And what should happen next? The GFA, beyond Kwesi Nyantakyi, who else should we expect to resign?
I'm sure that as the president, he set a pace. I will suggest, or I would think that all those captured in this world, these things happen. It could be justifiable, it could be unjustifiable. But having been exposed and reduced to that embarrassing situation as you saw on the video, I think that the honorable thing for them to do is to also resign. And after all, life will still go on.
Well, we are having this conversation knowing that the government has started plans to dissolve the Ghana Football Association. So would you say that his resignation today is inconsequential, because whether or not he does, the government was going to collapse the institution that he heads anyway?
In addition to that, from reports that we have received, I'm yet to confirm though that even is suspended by the well-ruling federation.
It's actually confirmed. FIFA has handed him a 90-day ban.
He could have done this thing earlier, because if I put myself in his shoes, having gone on that adventure, I know the implications. As soon as the news came up about an unmasked expose, I think the best thing to have done was the registration letter should have been ready, even ahead of the premiering. And then that would have been better. But somebody will even ask, resignation after dissolution, resignation after suspension, whichever way we put it, at least he's given up. And I need to admit that he's left a keeping role there to be filled.
So you would say the resignation is not honorable?
It could have been done earlier and in a better way. It could have been done ahead of this dissolution and then the suspension by FIFA. At the end of it all, is jump put. Let's take it that way. Like as I said earlier, it's better late than never.
I see. And staying with the dissolution or the intended dissolution by the governments, I know that you have games coming up this weekend. You're the chairman of GALCA. Did you understand the import? Did you get the import of the statement from the government yesterday? And vis-a-vis the comments by the Minister for Sports, are you sanctioning your games to continue this weekend as scheduled, or you have you have frozen every game in Ghana forthwith?
I think based on the order given by His Excellency the President, at least from due respect must be given to the President, whether the decision was right or wrong, I think that as Ghanaians, we are still really under that huge embarrassment. And the question is, are Ghanaians even ready to patronize those games? Are Ghanaians ready to patronize those games that we want to play on Sunday? Already the situation has been bad. People are not watching the game. Now Ghanaians have almost given up. I'm sure you've done your service. You know people who are happy with the steps taken by government and even ready to face FIFA sanctions. So I think that the timing is bad. We are going to plunge the already impoverished clubs into bigger debt.
The GFA has already brought out a list of referees who would be superintending over games this weekend. Are you sanctioning your clubs to take part in these games? And I'm referring to the FA. FA. Yeah.
Unfortunately for me, we are a welfare body. We can only advise. We can advise, but if my clubs, the clubs will take my advice, I think that they are ventures not worth entering to this weekend. Ghanaians have lost their appetite for football, especially the Ghanaian one. So I think that we should allow them to recover, so that in partnership with our supporters, we can continue with our business. But as it is now, I think that we are pushing a bitter pill down there, unwilling truth.
I see. Now, you appear to be the last group standing. The GFA is collapsed. What is Galka doing? You know, in
That
the.
is the reason why Monday 3:00, Galka is summoning all the members, the class, to an emergency meeting where we will discuss the future of Ghana football. We are not going to. It's not a palace coup. It's not going to be a coup d'etat or a revolution. We are going to use our own statutes and regulations to cure the mess that we have created for ourselves and Ghanaians.
Are you able to, run the affairs of football where there is no GFA?
It will be difficult. But what I'm saying is that we have the rules and regulations. We can quickly call for a congress within 48 hours and set the ball rolling. So it's just a matter of taking our time to do the right thing at the right time.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kujo Fianu is chairman of the Ghana League Clubs Association, GALCA, speaking to me there on the resignation of Kwesi Nyantakyi. And if you are just joining us, this is 97.3 Citi FM Eyewitness News. Is a program broadcasting from number 11, Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka in Accra. Kwesi Nyantakyi, the man on top of Ghana football, number 2 at CAF, and among the leaders at FIFA, has bowed out of Ghana football. And he has not admitted to any guilt. But of course, FIFA had earlier this afternoon handed him a 90-day ban. And the government of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo last night said it was putting in processes to dissolve the association that he heads. So did he resign too late? We had questions for him, though, before his resignation. Questions to him and questions to the Ghana Football Association after watching him sound very boastful in that secret video by Anas Arimi Anas. Listen to the questions we have for them.
Question 1. What do the GFA rules say on agents brokering sponsorships for the entity? Is there a specific rule that talks about third-party agents? Is there a standard rate amount or a percentage? Question 2. What can the GFA tell us of previous league sponsorship deals and the agencies involved in them, and how much was paid as fees? Question 3. Why does the GFA sign league sponsorships and include clauses which keep the clubs out of the loop? Question 4. How does the FA ensure that their internal investigations will be clean, especially when the executive committee appoints members of the ethics committee? Question 5. How open is the GFA to the idea of reforms or an overhaul? Question 6. FIFA and CAF have their term limits stated in their various constitutions. Will the GFA consider such measures? Question 7. How is the GFA planning to repair its image in terms of fans in Ghana and in the international space?
So those were some questions we put together after watching the video to Kwesi Nyantakyi. It appears he cannot answer those questions now in his official capacity, but he says that he's going to be meeting the media soon. And Godfred is still here in studio with me. Godfred, you were reading the statement. I thought you got to the... you can conclude for us. Let's see.
Yeah. So it says all the discussions on the video were done as private discussions.
Not as GFA president.
As private discussions.
Okay. I cannot
read his mind.
You're not his spokesperson, but you and I have watched the video.
Yes.
If Kwesi Nyantakyi says that the video or the discussions on the video were private discussions, we saw him clearly being introduced by Abu Mohammed, the Northern Regional Chairman of the GFA, saying, "This is our president. He is a GFA president." He himself introduces himself further, and I'm referring to Kwesi Nyantakyi, and subsequently says he's a big man and that you can Google him.
Yes.
And he was referring to himself as Kwesi Nyantakyi, president of GFA.
Yes.
He was brokering a deal for the GFA.
Yes.
The document we saw on the screen as being documents, agreements, or MOU that was signed between him and the Tiger Eye group at the time that he didn't know was Tiger Eye had his name and designation beneath it. The email exchange between him and Anas, if indeed those are genuine, had Kwesi Nyantakyi's official email address. So I just want to draw the attention of the public to that before you continue reading.
Yes. I am sorry the discussions have caused a huge embarrassment.
No, you skipped the line. I never
knew or anticipated that they would be secretly recorded.
Okay.
I am sorry the discussions have caused a huge embarrassment to the presidency, honorable ministers, and senior government officials. I wish to apologize to my family, work colleagues, friends, associates, and the people of Ghana for the disappointment my indiscretion has caused to them. This is by no means an admission of wrongdoing for issues in the video. In the coming days, I will address the media on issues raised in the video. Thank you.
So, Godfred, who is heading the Ghana Football Association now?
Big issue. Very big issue. Now, in the morning, if our listeners will cast their mind back, Bernard interviewed Mr. Kwame Nteofianko, who said that there was an amendment made in 2005 that changed the face of Ghana football. This is where we see the gravity of that weakness, because per that amendment up to where we are now, Kwesi Nyantakyi appoints everybody on the emergency committee, which is the body that runs the Football Association. Now, on that emergency committee that he appointed, he's resigned now. So basically, they are political appointees. Do you say they go with Kwesi Nyantakyi? Because they are not elected officials. So anybody at the Football Association could get up and say, okay, once Kwesi appointed you, you can go with him.
Because he's gone.
He's gone. On that same emergency committee, there are two of them named in the video. Eddie Doku, Greater Accra Regional chairman, is there. Kwesi Nyantakyi himself is on that particular emergency committee as well. And one other person, it skips my mind, is also on that particular committee. So it's now even just two. Now, of the two left, one is lawyer Kwekweya, who was vindicated in that video. He turned down the bribe. The other one is Nana Benyin Eisen. But Nana Benyin Eisen's reputation is not the cleanest at the moment. Long-time member of the Ghana Football Association, unfortunately, last year was suspended by FIFA for misconducting himself during a national team assignment in Papua New Guinea. Was suspended for 6 months. So he doesn't have the best of reputations at the moment. Okay, so that is the problem. Then you have the executive committee underneath the emergency committee. Of the emergency committee, you have three of them misconducting them. So of the executive committee, you have three of them you have Liniadi misconducting herself. You have Eddie Doku misconducting himself. You have Abu Abdullahi misconducting himself. You have A.A. Lawal, Eastern Region, misconducting himself. And you have Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi misconducting himself. Now, also, we do not have a vice president because a month ago, Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi dismissed his vice president,
George Afriyie,
and did not reappoint one. What this means, and the constitution of the GFA, the statutes as it is now, does not make room for another person to step in. You cannot say the Secretary General steps in the absence of the president. It is not in their rule books as we speak now. It is that the president of the Football Association shall appoint a vice president. And he's the only person, per the current statutes of the Football Association, who can appoint a vice president. Now, this is a position that previously, at the time that Nteofianko was talking about, would have been an elected position.
Godfred, if I went to the GFA headquarters tomorrow morning or tonight, who will be the functional executive leader there?
As things stand now, I don't think that a lot of changes in their minds would have been made, knowing how the Ghana Football Association works at the moment. This resignation should have come with a raft of others.
He appointed Sani Dara, didn't he?
Yes.
So we can't even call up Sani and interview him because possibly he may go with him.
But he is an employee of the FA.
Okay, so he may still continue.
He may still continue.
I see. And what can Galka do? Is the Galka boss a part of the GFA, an executive member?
No, he used to be, not anymore. And that's why I'm saying that significantly, that same rule change is what has diminished the role of Galka. Because if that rule existed, somebody like Kujo Fianu automatically would be an executive member of the Football Association.
Do you think there's a chance for Galka to get out of the shadows now?
It is not a chance for Galka to get out of the shadows. It is a chance to rewrite the statutes as it is. Because we have seen, with this particular scenario, we have a hole to fill. And with that particular hole, it brings so many problems because, as I just explained to you, we cannot say, oh, okay, you take over. Because there are other ambitious people in the setup who will say, we will not allow Sanda to take over or allow this person to take over because he was appointed by Kwesi Nyantakyi. So there are factions who would say that if Kwesi Nyantakyi is gone, go with him.
Godfred Akotubwafo, thank you for those perspectives, analysis, and the information you just brought to us. And the information is that Kwesi Nyantakyi has resigned, and we are not sure exactly who is going to run Ghana football for now. Kwesi Nyantakyi hasn't said who he's handing over to. Indeed, the man he would have handed over to, he fired already. So there's a clear vacuum at the GFA. And we'll be seeking some answers from persons who understand the football system, the Ghana Football Association, and hopefully if the communications directorate of the GFA is still available for comment, we are ready. Mr. Ibrahim Sani Dara, we are available to speak to you if you could clarify matters for us, because there are so many questions unanswered as far as the GFA is concerned. But that is not the end of number 12, Anas Aramiyao Anas's big expose. Someone is going to benefit. That's if the judges agree with him, and that would be Anas Aramiyao Anas. Because he has dragged Kennedy Japan to court. Mina, tell us that story.
Indeed, Anas has filed a suit against MP for Asen Central, Kennedy Japan, for defamation. In the lead up to the premiere of number 12, Anas's latest expose on the rot in the Ghana Football Association, the Asen Central MP verbally attacked Anas on several media platforms. Kisi Jabing is lawyer of Anas, Arimio Anas, and he talks about the suit.
Oh, it's a simple suit in defamation. Defamation against the MP for Asen Central, Kennedy Japan. Running on pages and pages, 8 pages of defamation all put together that she leveled against Mr. Anas Arimia Anas. And because it's in court now, I don't want to go into so much detail, but just to tell you that we have sued him asking for the court to award 25 million aggravated damages against him.
Very well, but Mr. Japan has been making some comments about Anas on radio and on TV in recent times. Are these is this defamation case because of comments he's made recently?
Exactly, comments he's made on his own media stations, on Man FM, on Ash FM, on the 2 TV, and flowing from that beyond to Adum TV and other stations. As I said, put together, ran through 8 pages of defamatory material. Every sentence there is offensive that he has made. He's even gone as far as to ask incite the public to kill my client, to assault him physically wherever they meet him. And it's all recorded in the media. And it is this put together which we believe would found the basis for his liability. And as I said again, they're asking for 25 million Ghana.
So has Mr. Japan been served yet?
Well, he's out of the country. Immediately he gets down, he gets served. And then the legal battle ensues.
You heard lawyer of Anas Arimio Anas, Kisi Jabing, speaking to Eugenia Tinkrang on the City Prime News.
And a number of reactions have been coming through on that particular story on social media. Alex Bodonu Nkegbe tweets at me and he says, the sale of properties alleged in the video were propaganda used by the NDC after 2008 elections. I'm not an appointee of the government, but I know most of the shadows of the president. Your station has taken biased position in regards to this video. Thank you very much. More comments coming through on Twitter, and I'm going to read those for you as well. Forgive me, my timeline just messed up. I'm trying to get that sorted out. You can also send your tweets using the hashtag Citi Newsroom, like Sir Obama in Pokwasi has done. And he says, Kwesi Nyantakyi's verbal diarrhea is beyond human comprehension. His resignation and apology is inconsequential cause plans are far advanced to dissolve the very association that he heads. More comments. Yawodu says, Kwesi Nyantakyi's resignation could have been more dignified if he had resigned before FIFA handing him the 90 days ban. And this one from Frederick Kuma says, Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi has resigned. GFA to be dissolved by government. Ghana football shouldn't be the same after here. JB in Sawan says, where there is no shame, there is no honor. The football used to be fair play, but under Kwesi Nyantakyi, and our referees, it turns out to be brown envelope. Lord have mercy. May God bless Anas and his team. You say. James Stain says, very good and solid questions put out there awaiting answers. But trust me, Umaru Sanda, that we won't get answers in the affirmative. And that's in reference to the questions to the executive and the GFA. Baba Musa says, Kwesi Nyantakyi's apology must be rejected. It's insincere and full of... Okay, I can't read continuously on that particular issue. AU Farouk in Tamale says, it's sad and sad our beloved country has been engulfed in corruption in many of our institutions. Edmond Yin says, thanks to Nyantakyi for the official launch of the 2020 campaign. Just imagine GM in these current oversized shoes of Nana in the lead up to election 2016. Studio Marshal Felix Kwachi must help lead this charge for a more proper chance. Okay, Charlie, you are doing campaign already. 97.3 Citi FM. Do send your tweets as well at Umaru Sanda or at Citi973 with the hashtag Citi Newsroom. Skelly Dread sends a view from Babylon, and he says, my view is he should not go unpunished. He's brought the name of football and indeed the presidency and our motherland Ghana into disrepute and shame. Thus, he should not walk free from this with a mere resignation. That's what he's saying. Send me your views as well on WhatsApp 0549 986 996. When we come back, we hear from a lawyer who is saying that the intended or planned dissolution by government of the GFA is unlawful.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Hi, I am Umaru Sanda. I'm the host of Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Every weeknight, do join me for the big stories of the day as we do the analysis, the interviews, the probing questions that will help you find closure to the top stories that bother your mind. The show is, of course, live on Facebook here on Citi FM's handle.
What we try to do on the Citi Breakfast Show is to keep a conversation flowing. So you'll typically have us do the newspaper review in a very fun, easygoing way because people are stressed out, they're going to work. We're serious with the issues, but we present it in a fun way. And there are times listeners can send us a message and that becomes the whole show. So a couple of days ago, somebody complained about the East Legon tunnel and that became like a whole program. The idea is that the people listening to you must be giving value. So you must not think of your own comfort. You must work fast, you must be nimble, you must have a strong research team behind you and keep people wanting more. There's music as well and there's some hard-hitting interviews.
Radio WhatsApp. Gusty Man from Brekum says, after my critical analysis, apart from Nyantakyi, it appears some of the sports directors were trapped unfairly. And Kweku from Spinter says, what no one has raised in all this discussion yet is what happens to Kwesi Nyantakyi's membership of the GBA. And Ganaba from Matahiku writes, whoever tries to fight the president's decision to dissolve the GFA is an enemy and doesn't wish Ghana well.
You can also send your comments 0549 986 996 0549 986 996. So last night the presidency issued a statement not the presidency necessarily, it was a government because it was a statement issued by the Minister for Information, and that statement suggested that the government was taking steps to dissolve the Ghana Football Association. It appears that the government or the president may not have the law behind it when it's doing that particular or when it's taking that particular action. That's a view of the Honorable Mahama Ayariga. He's a former Minister for Sports himself. He's a Member of Parliament for the people of Boko Central and a private legal practitioner. He's joined me on the line. You're welcome, sir, to Eyewitness News. What is the reasoning behind your argument?
Thank you very much and good evening to your listeners. The Constitution guaranteed the freedom of all Ghanaians to associate, to pursue lawful objectives. And the GFA is one such lawful association that is pursuing a lawful objective. We uncover evidence of individuals within the organization engage in acts of corruption, which constitute also, offenses, criminal offenses. What the government should do is what it directed, that the CID should investigate all the people who are on the tapes and where they think that there's a basis to prosecute all of them. But you don't dissolve the organization because you don't have that right. You don't have the power. They have to show us any law that says that government can dissolve a privately constituted, association that is pursuing a lawful objective. And they cannot show any. I mean, I hear them citing a doctrine of necessity. What necessity? I mean, where is that doctrine coming from? It is, let me give you the kind of precedent that is being set. Let's say that there is an MPP, Congress, where the flag bearer is going to be chosen. And somebody goes there in the nature of the way that ANAS operates and, talks to some of the delegates and tells them that he's acting on behalf of Nana Akufo-Addo, who is a candidate, and he wants to give them money so that they will vote for Nana Akufo-Addo. And then the delegates, 100 of them, take the money. And whilst they are taking the money, he captures them on tape. And then tomorrow he comes to play that, international conference center. We'll all go and preview and see how, Nana Akufo-Addo won the election by, paying bribes to delegates. And then on the basis of that tape being played, are you suggesting that a government can decide that the NPP is going to be dissolved as a political party? That exactly is the kind of situation that we have.
Are you comparing the Football Association to a political party? Are the two comparable?
They are all associations permitted by law. The one is pursuing the objective of mobilizing people to try and then take on political power. The other one is organizing people to participate in a profession, which is football, both as a profession and also, as a recreation. So it is an association of Ghanaians pursuing lawful objectives. Pursuing political power is a lawful objective, and pursuing football either as a recreation or as a profession is also a lawful objective. So that is the situation. I can understand the anger, I can understand the repulsion, but you see, when we are angry, it shouldn't lead us into doing the wrong things because we set bad precedents. And tomorrow somebody will do a similar thing, and then we'll be, complaining about abuse. This is a very dangerous precedent, and we shouldn't allow that to happen. And that is why I say that the government is wrong. I don't support the things that were on tape. I believe that the organization has the capacity to take action in this crisis to deal with it. I hear that Nyantakyi himself has resigned. The FIFA has already, removed him from its committees. So he's been suspended at the FIFA level, and he has resigned here. And so GFA has the capacity to convene a meeting and try to resolve these issues.
Let's do some comparison now. You were previously Minister for Environment, and you had supervisory powers over the Environmental Protection Agency. A number of times, and indeed you have actually led a team to close down fuel stations in the wake of the June 3 disaster because you thought that these fuel stations were not operating properly because there were some unlawful conduct at their sites. Can you not compare what you did by shutting down fuel stations to the government shutting down an institution that they thought was behaving unlawfully?
No. The fuel stations that were shut down because they did not have the permit to even exist as fuel stations. They did not have the permit to exist as fuel stations. They did not have the permit to establish where they established. Where they were established is not a place where anyone should be permitted to establish a fuel station. So this is a completely different situation where you need a license. We're not saying that GFA doesn't have Registrar General's license to exist as an organization. They have registered at Registrar General as a not-for-profit organization limited by guarantee. So they have their license. They have been licensed. They have gone to register with FIFA, and then they are part of FIFA. So it is not a similar situation where one didn't have the proper authorization to exist. This one, they are existing, they have a constitution, they are functioning as an organization. It just happens that some referees, during matches, go and take money. Or some members of the executive committee go and take money with the view to influencing, the coaches at the national level to take on some players and not have a system where getting onto the team is based on merit. So it's a completely different scenario.
So your view is that government can only watch this institution and all the crimes being committed, and government cannot really act because it's a private institution, and so it should be regarded and allowed to operate with all the problems that we saw on the TV screens. You're suggesting that government, which represents the people and the state, should do nothing because this institution has autonomy. Is that what you're suggesting?
You see, what we saw on tape is a clear manifestation rather of government failure. It is our governments that have failed us, not the FA. Governments have failed us because what we have seen in the FA is happening in different institutions in this our country. The same ANAS uncovered the same thing in relation to our judiciary. He uncovered the same thing in relation to our police. He uncovered the same thing in relation to our port authorities, our customs authorities. And I believe he has so many other institutions, just that he probably hasn't released all of them. So what it shows is that government, which is supposed to have a mechanism for ensuring that people conduct themselves and that corruption is fought and that it is exposed when it takes place, is failing to expose it, and people have the confidence and they are doing it without let or hindrance. And we should be ashamed that it has to take a private individual to use his industry to expose one. And when he exposes one, you are moving and engaging in an illegality to cover up for your own failure. If government, all these years, using the BNI, using the National Security Agencies, using the CID department, was going underground to monitor what is happening in football, today we will not have the situation that we have there. So it is not a government that has failed. And we should be taking governments on, but they are not using the institution and the taxpayers' money to solve problems. So please, I think that it's not that I'm saying that government should be there helpless while this is happening. There is a mechanism for dealing with this, which is that arrest all those who are on the tape, try them, if the courts convict them, punish them. Use your CID and your BNI and security apparatus. Anytime that there's a tournament, go underground, try to bribe some people and see who will take the money, who will not take the money. Those who take the money at the end of the tournament, expose them, punish them. Do that for 3 tournaments and see whether this culture, which has become a cancer in football, will persist.
But
anyway, after Anas has done what he has done, nobody will follow up. Why?
So
Anas did that for the police. Since his time, have you heard anybody has gone again to check what is happening to the police? He did that at the port. Have you heard anybody going there? Only recently they tried to say, okay, fine, let's apply technology. Let's make it paperless so that all the things that are happening will stop happening. There are mechanisms for solving the problem.
So let me now, in conclusion, say that the institution that you are asking to go to court and possibly look for a vindication that it cannot be dissolved by the government itself seems to be crumbling. The boss of the place, the president of the GFA, has resigned. The FIFA, the world governing body of football, has also banned him for 90 days. Clearly, the center is not holding at the GFA. Who can possibly go to court to seek this interpretation or to seek redress for them?
Oh, but GFA is not made up of Nyantakyi alone. When he resigned, who did he hand the letter over to?
Nobody, actually.
He had the letter over to the General Secretary. Read the statement. He said there was an executive committee meeting, and at that after the executive committee meeting, he has tendered his resignation to the General Secretary of the organization. organization. So there are human beings.
Honorable, I don't know which statement you are reading, but what I have here doesn't mention the general secretary. It just says that after.
This report
I am referring to the statement directly from Mr. Nyantakyi. It says, after a meeting of the executive committee this afternoon, I decided to resign as president of the Ghana Football Association. That's a simple line of the resignation. He doesn't mention who he has handed over to. And if you listen earlier, I was here with Godfrey Akoto-Boafo, and there was a difficulty understanding who exactly will be heading the GFA. But of course, the GFA is an institution separate from Kwesi Nyantakyi.
Yes, so my argument is that the institution has its internal mechanism for dealing with crises like this. So all you need to do is to urge it to deploy its institutional mechanisms, like the judiciary. When we uncovered a similar situation in the judiciary, did we dissolve the judiciary? We didn't dissolve the judiciary. The Chief Justice triggered the internal mechanisms and addressed the problem internally. It's the same thing. If the police service has a similar problem, there is an internal mechanism within the police for dealing with a problem like that. Why didn't we dissolve the Ghana Police Service? You see, I'm saying that nobody's happy with what has happened. I don't think that I will ever support what has happened. But the point is that I will not also support the measure that government is taking, because tomorrow I don't want government to move against another association and then another association. And anytime that they want to go against any lawful association because government doesn't like the face of the leaders of the association, you can go and then, uncover any series of, malpractices within the association and cite that as a reason why that association must be dissolved.
Okay.
So there's a bad precedent.
Thank you for your time. Honorable Muhammad Yarga is Boku Central MP and former Minister for Youth and Sports. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Up next, we'll bring you business. And when we come back on Point Blank, so we brought you news that the president had fired 4 CEOs 2 days ago. He has already named replacements for them. We'll tell you who is replacing these fired CEOs and if there is any explanation for same. And then, of course, we'll tell you about the Ghana Armed Forces. Last week, we brought you that story that they were investigating some of their own for supporting Galamseyers. Now, the sentencing or the verdict has come. And the verdict is that some of them have been detained for 60 days, others for 90 days. And after that, some of them will be sent home. Stay with us. We have more on that particular story coming up.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
And we're going through a transition as a country. Our democracy is going well. There are lots of issues that still need to be addressed, and we still have to enjoy ourselves. So we're trying to put all that together into a 3.5-hour show. It's not very easy, but trust me, it's exciting. It's really, really fun. Myself, Richard Sky, Kojo Akoto-Boateng, and Nama Asante being the core of that team with a strong production base. That's what we try and do on Citi Breakfast Show. What we try to do on the Citi Breakfast Show is to keep a conversation flowing. So you'll typically have us do the newspaper review in a very fun, easygoing way because people are stressed out, they're going to work. We're serious with the issues, but we present it in a fun way. And there are times listeners can send us a message and that becomes the whole show. So a couple of days ago, somebody complained about the East Legon tunnel and that became like a whole program. The idea is that the people listening to you must be giving value. So you must not think of your own comfort. You must work fast, you must be nimble, you must have a strong research team behind you and keep people wanting more. There's music as well and there's some hard-hitting interviews. Radio reflects the lifestyle of Ghanaians and we're going through a transition as a country. Our democracy is going well. There are lots of issues that still need to be addressed and we still have to enjoy ourselves. So we're trying to put all that together into a 3.5-hour show. It's not very easy, but trust me, it's exciting. It's really, really fun. Myself, Richard Sky, Kojo Akoto-Boateng, and Nama Asante being the core of that team with a strong production base.
Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. This bulletin is powered by citibusinessnews.com, and that's your most comprehensive business news website. Let's begin our bulletin from the power sector, where an Accra High Court has dismissed an injunction case brought against the Millennium Development Authority, that is MIDA, by BXC Company Limited. BXC, which was part of the company's bidding for the privatization of the ECG, was disqualified by MIDA. The company was praying the court to order MIDA to stop all forms of discussions and negotiations with the preferred concessionaire, that is Miracle Consortium, but the court, in the ruling today, dismissed the injunction case. Meanwhile, the court upheld the request asking that MIDA be stopped from drawing on the bid bond. Now, the Bank of Ghana will revoke the license of any financial technology company that fails to comply with regulatory requirements outlined in the new Payment Systems and Services Bill. The fintechs are expected to be compliant with at a time where electronic payment systems are increasing significantly. This caution is contained in the Bank of Ghana's 2017 Payment Systems Report. There is more in this Citi Business News Desk report.
The Bank of Ghana explains that the decision to withdraw the licenses is necessary following the potential risks that fintechs may pose to the financial sector when left unregulated. Currently, there are 71 fintechs operating in Ghana. According to the central bank, a fintech may be deemed qualified to sustain its operations if it complies with 3 broad directives, including tech, security and controls, governance arrangements, as well as principles of consumer protection. For tech, security and controls, a fintech is expected to possess a tested technology system which is equipped with fraud monitoring and detection tools, a valid third-party certification from a reputable certification authority in line with relevant standards determined by the Bank of Ghana. Also, complying with governance arrangements means that the fintech is required to have a board of directors with a minimum of 5 members, at least 3 of whom, including the chief executive officer, shall be residents in the country. Again, the company must disclose to the Bank of Ghana details of its external auditors and any relation to the directors, key management, personnel, or shareholders. Meanwhile, fintechs are expected to be transparent and disclose to their customers clear, sufficient, and timely information on the fundamental benefits, risks, and terms of any product or service offered in an objective and accessible form. Already, 21 banks are in partnerships with the fintechs for the provision of services. The Payment Systems and Services Bill is currently before Cabinet. It is expected to be forwarded to Parliament and subsequently passed into law.
And that report was read by my colleague Anita Arthur. Let's turn our attention to the petroleum sector, where experts in the oil industry are asking government to focus on building just 1 refinery rather than building 4 as proposed under the Petroleum Hub project. According to the expert, the uncertainty in demand of petroleum product on the export market may not be favorable to Ghana. Now, local demand for petroleum products have been predicted to grow at an average of 6% in the short term, while demand in the sub-region outstrips supply. However, addressing whether Ghana needs a refinery or not at the just ended Ghana International Petroleum Conference, the experts agreed that building 1 refinery is economically prudent. First, you hear the former CEO of the GNPC, Mr. Alex Mould. He is also followed in the voice by the principal consultant of Epic Consulting in South Africa, Bruce Hutchinson.
The growth shows that the supply will not be enough for the demand. I don't know whether 4 refineries is going to make sense. There's a lot of talk about whether we're going to have 150,000 barrels a day refineries, 4 of them. If you are building export refineries, you have to understand that it's a different ball game. You are exporting and the pricing is lower. Your margins will be far lower. So I think we need to walk before we run. We need to look at 1 refinery. Either you upgrade the more refinery, you fix it.
It seems to me that 1 refinery pretty much matches the Ghanaian demand and provides additional volume to be competitive with overland exports into the inland area. But moving up to 2, 3, and 4 refineries, as I said in the opening remarks, looks as if it's going to be pretty much exclusively export business. And to my mind anyway, that is extremely risky, and I would think very carefully before making investments for an export market like that.
So Bruce Hutchinson is a consultant of Epic Consulting in South Africa, and earlier you heard Alex Mood, who is a former CEO of the GNPC. In a related development, and advocacy groups have called for the passage of a policy framework to back the government of Ghana's vision of creating a petroleum hub. The hub, estimated to cost $50 billion, is expected to include refineries, tank farms, pipelines, and other infrastructure. Here is a panel member and energy analyst at the just ended GIPCON, Tai Wei Leong, also arguing or also urging effective collaboration between the private and public sectors.
The public sector needs to listen to what the private sector needs, and from there develop either policies or plans or regulations to support that. And the private sector also has to do their part to comply with regulations. When they are able to come together, then you will see we got to come up with policies that help them to earn money. It's not just political stability. Political stability is important and good to have, but there are also other enablers inside there that is required for such endeavor to push through. And every country is different. And one of the most important aspects we always realize is that the government involvement in developing such petroleum hub is necessary.
Tan Wei Leong is an energy analyst speaking at the just ended Ghana International Petroleum Conference, GIPCON, and that formed part of the City Business Festival, actually the third of the partnership event scheduled for the month of June. To some other stories now, and cocoa farmers are calling on the produce buying company, that's PBC, to pay them in checks for the purchase of cocoa beans. According to them, they are offering the target of robbery attacks whenever they are paid in cash by the PBC. The farmers cite an instance where about 500,000 cedis, which was being conveyed to the Chifuprasu area for disbursement, was stolen by robbers. In an interview with City Business News, the president for Offenso Fine Flavor Cooperative Cocoa Farmers Association, Alex Opoku-Mensah, said they will be better off if they are giving checks instead of cash.
We've been having a lot of instances when they pay them in cash, they are being robbed by armed robbers and the others. So, in fact, we've been agitating for this for a longer period, that the pieces, that is the purchasing class, should pay us in checks. In order that, for check, for instance, you may deposit it in a bank. When you want to withdraw, there's a letter that you may need that you may withdraw. Then the rest remain there. So it's good, as they are saying that. We've been agitating it for a longer period.
Alex Opoku-Mensah is the president for the Offenso Fine Flavor Cooperative Cocoa Farms Association. And finally, before I take leave of you, to the stock market to find out how your investment performed for the last trading session for this week. And if you're an investor of Access Bank, then today your stock gained 8 pesos, but investors of Standard Chartered Bank lost 98 pesos. Ghana Oil also lost 32 pesos on their share prices. We can now listen to Seriam Aku Indinya of UMB Stockbrokers with more.
The declines on the BRS continued at the last session of the week, occasioned by declines in 4 equities. Access Bank Ghana was, however, the lone advancer as it backed 8 pesos to end the week at 3 cedis 58 pesos. The GSC Composite Index lost 38.07 points to 3,038.41, representing a year-to-date return of 17.78%. The UMB 10 Index followed suit, dropping 56.11 points to a year-to-date change of 13.9%. Standard Chartered Bank led decliners, dropping by 98 pesos to 27 cedis, representing a 3.5% drop from yesterday. Ghana Oil followed with 32 pesos decline to end the week at 4 cedis. Famil Ghana and Enterprise Group also continued their sustained decline by shedding 5 pesos and 2 pesos respectively to 5 cedis 94 pesos and 2 cedis 98 pesos in that order. At the end of the day, a total of 843,230 shares valued at 8,216,046 cedis 5 pesos exchange hands. In the week ahead, investors are expected to continue to book gains, which may see drops in the prices of stocks like Cal Bank, Enterprise Group, Ghana Oil, Standard Chartered Bank, and Societe Generale.
So that was an overview of the performance of the local bears for this weekend, presented by Seram Aku Indinia of UMB Stock Brokers. And that is it also for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News, powered by citibusinessnews.com. My name is Pius Amihe Edukun. Up next is Point Blank.